This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we are in a day 12 session. So today we are going to discuss about the object level casting or else object casting in Java. Okay, so for this I have prepared one PPT PowerPoint presentation. You just follow it, and accordingly after the explanation I will try to show you a few examples on top of this, how we can convert these objects from one type to another. These things I'll try to explain. So let me open my PDF. So see, if you are observing here, what do you mean by first object level casting? We already had a discussion about type conversion at primitive level. I mean to say, you got the chance to convert from int to float or float to double, something like this. So I mean to say, we have seen already this type conversion at primitive level. I mean to say, like widening typecasting, narrowing typecasting, we have seen, but those we did at primitive level. Okay, but now I wanted to convert the type of the data from object to object, from one type of object, because always object is holding some data, right? So for example, you have a parent class object is there. I have a child class object. Now I wanted to convert my object, child class object to parent, or parent to child, or from some other object to some other object. See, this conversion of, okay, object type from one type to another type, that is what we call, object level casting itself. So if you see, observe the meaning. As I said, if we convert from one type of object to another type of object, that is known as object level casting. So basically, in Java, we have at object level, we have two types of castings. Object level castings are there. One is upcasting, another one is what, downcasting. So what do you mean by upcasting, sir? Converting the parent class object, sorry, if we convert child class object type to a parent class object type, that is what we call, upcasting. So usually upcasting, to perform this upcasting, I mean to say, to convert the child class object into the parent class, we no need to perform, or we no need to take care any extra steps. So automatically, just by assigning the child class object into the parent class reference variable, that is automatically gets converted. We no need to take any extra step, or any programmer no need to like what take any manual step. So that is how exactly it is happening, automatically. So this upcasting. So if you consider, if you are observing my slide, you just consider A as a parent class, B as a subclass. So if you are observing, my child class object is obj. Now I am trying to assign this child class object into the parent class reference variable directly. So it won't give you any compile time error, it won't give you any runtime error. Okay, so let's see, already we have seen this example in runtime polymorphism. The same example I am considering as an upcasting itself, because in runtime polymorphism also we are storing the child class object and storing inside the parent class reference variable. That itself is can be considering as what, upcasting only. So first let's see how exactly upcasting is possible using this reference variable. What we can achieve these things programmatically, if you get an idea, then we will move to like what, downcasting itself. Okay, just come back to here. So we are already in this package we have created. Now we'll try to like what, create two classes. One is A class, another one is what, B class. So I'm making this A as the parent class and B as the child class. So that is the reason I'm defining type name is invalid. Okay, why? Type name is not a Java type name, must not starts with a blank. Okay, if there is any blank is there, no, it's not a blank, but still it is giving me the error. Okay, 1 second. A.java is fine. Let me define this new, and then class, and then B. Okay, it's fine. So B is a class extending from, okay, A. Okay, com.jsc.objectcasting is the package. Click on the finish. So now this time, this I can be considering as a child class. Save it and come back to A, and of course this will be acting as an immediate super class for the B class. So it's a parent class, right? So just define one method. Okay, public void display system.out.println. Come on, please. Display method defining inside the A class. Just for understanding the concept. Here I am not focusing on the logic, sir. We are focusing on the concept itself. Okay, so child class is there. Inside the child class I am overriding. So while you are overriding, always mandatory to use this override annotation, public void display. Save it, system.out.println. Come on, please. Okay, here it is unnecessarily it got added, and this display method got inside the B, and this display method is the logic inside the A itself. So two display methods here, we are just overriding itself. Okay, so to execute this class, we are defining the execution logic class, that is test one. So if you can make the child class also as an execution logic class just by defining the main method here itself. But for clear separation, for clear modularity, we are trying to like what give a separate classes itself. Okay. So what is this class? Tell me. Execution logic class. How can you consider this one as an execution logic class, sir? In any class, if you are defining main method, that class can be considering as main, I mean execution logic class, because execution starts from main method only, right? So here we are defining the main method, sir. So now I am creating, what do you mean by now I am trying to performing which casting? Tell me. Upcasting. What do you mean by upcasting? Tell me. Converting, come on please. Converting child class object type to, okay, so parent class type. So this is the meaning. So first child class is required, right? So that is the reason b obj equals to new b. So I have a child class object. Now I wanted to convert this child class object into a parent class type. So for that reason, a obj1 equals to obj. Immediately we are not getting any errors. So what do you mean by obj, sir? Obj is the object of b class only. So here you can keep it like this also, right? So if you are observing, you can remove it now. So we have a child class object and we are converting into the parent class reference variable. We are not getting any compile time error. Okay. So now you may ask one question. So yes, it is possible. Upcasting is automatically done. We no need to take extra steps. So sir, tell me, with this reference variable, what can I able to access? So obj1 dot, come on please, display. Which method will be executed? Tell me. Obj1 dot display. Which method will be executed? So control goes to, since obj1 is available at compile time only, because of its object declaration is available at, I mean variables are declared at compile time only. This is available at compile time only. So that is the reason. Okay. So on top of this obj1, okay, since it is of a type, so your compiler go to the a class and it will check for the display method. Since it is available, it will not give you any compile time error. Method resolution by that reference variable, method resolution will not happen. So by what it is happening? Based on the object type. So which object you have created? What is the original type of object? Since it is pointing to the B class object, control, I mean to say JVM will go to the B class and it will override, I mean it will execute this particular overriding display method. So because of this, what is the output you are expecting? Display B we are getting. So with this reference variable, okay, whenever you convert the child class object and storing inside the parent class reference variable, of course I can consider this one as an upcasting example. Using this reference variable, what we can achieve, what we cannot achieve. What we can achieve, we are able to achieve the overriding methods. We are able to execute the overriding methods. You may ask one question, sir, do we, if we have any, okay, if you have any B class separate or else separate methods are there, am I able to like what execute? Okay, so you just observe. For example, inside my B class, I am defining one more method, system.out.println display. Okay, so sorry, show method. I am displaying inside the B class. So right now in my B class, two methods I am defining. One is show, another one is what display. So you also create an object of B class only, but using this reference variable, you are not able to access the show method, because of you converted this child class object and you stored inside the parent class reference variable. So using this reference variable, if you have any specific methods inside the child class, those methods we are not allowed to access. But if you are not doing like this, if you are creating the object of the child class directly, happily we are able to access. You, whether you are observing or not, the 11th line error is gone. So that is what exactly the, okay, the information when you are converting the parent child class object into the parent class reference variable. Using that reference variable, we are able to execute only overriding methods. We are not allowed to access specific methods. If you are trying to access or execute or invoke those methods, you will get the compile time errors. So this is what all about what the upcasting itself. So yes, this is a simple example, our customized program. So you may ask one question, sir, do we have any real time examples? So where we get a chance to like what convert or perform this upcasting. Okay, so if you're asking like this, so for example, one second. For example, for this, okay, new take the class test to otherwise. So first after this downcasting, I will come to you and then I will explain you that also. So I hope you understand this upcasting, and using this upcasting what we are able to achieve. So now we'll move to like what downcasting itself. Okay, come back to like what our PowerPoint. So this is few use cases. Yes, in the next slide only I have this. So you may ask one question, few use cases on upcasting, where exactly we are performing. Okay, in my slide also it was there. I'll try to like what do this only. So I'll take one class as what my test 2 here. Okay, test 2 here. Since yes, concept is not yet completed, but still I supposed to like what show you where exactly our upcasting we are performing on top of our predefined classes, not on our user defined classes. For this, okay, I'm just trying to explain for the collections concept. So you just try to understand here. List L equal to new list. Sir, list is one of the predefined interface. Okay, is one of the predefined interface available inside the util package. You can't create an object of list interface, sir, because list is an interface. For an interface, you cannot create the object, as I told you in the interfaces video, in the abstraction concept. If anybody is not okay following, you just go through that particular link of my YouTube regarding this abstraction, where I have explained very clearly why we are not able to create the object for an interface. Okay, so now you can't create, so that is the reason you have to like what creating an object of interface is nothing but creating an object of its implementation class. So for the list interface, okay, for the list interface we have many implementation classes are there. I am taking array list as my implementation class. So whether you are observing or not, we are converting the child class object and into the parent class reference variable. Don't you feel this is an upcasting? Of course it is an upcasting, right? So upcasting means converting child class object into a parent class type is known as upcasting. That is what we did. Okay, I'm not focusing on top of this L what we are able to achieve, because we don't know like what kind of methods are there. You just focus on only, okay, you just focus on only whether we are able to like what getting or performing this upcasting or not, or okay, you just observe here itself. So for example, system.out.println of L. So few people are there, sir, it won't give you any compile time error, but it may give you runtime error. In that way people are thinking. For them, you just try to like what understand, are we getting any runtime error, sir? We are not getting any runtime error. We are just getting one empty because of, since you did not add any data, we are getting this empty array as an output. It won't give you any runtime error. It won't give you any compile time error. And upcasting automatically done. You are just assigning the child class object and storing inside the parent class reference variable. For this to perform this upcasting, we no need to take extra steps. In that way, you just try to like what go through the remaining okay use cases also, like we can convert the string class object and storing inside the object class also. You can store the hash set object inside the set. You can store the hash map inside the map. If you observe all these examples, we are converting my child class objects to the parent type reference variables only, and it is automatically happened just by assigning. That's it. We no need to take any extra step. So this is all about what upcasting. So, and if you move to like what next slide, okay, if you move to like what next slide, so this is my downcasting. So downcasting is little tricky. Okay, why it is little tricky? You need to understand. First of all, we have some rules are there. So if you really satisfies those rules, then we are able to like what understand very clearly. So what are those rules? First of all, you try to understand what do you mean by downcasting. So it's very simple. If we convert, it's a reverse process of upcasting. Like in upcasting, we are converting the child class of object into the parent class, but in downcasting, we are converting the parent class object into the child class type. So that is what exactly the meaning of downcasting. So if you're observing, if we convert parent class object type to child class object, that is what exactly known as downcasting. Okay, so to perform this just by assigning like how exactly we did with respect to upcasting, it is not done. So you have to, as a programmer, you have to take extra step also. What is that? You try to understand. So first you got the clarity, right? First you got the clarity, what do you mean by downcasting? So if you go to like what test1.java, since already we did this, okay, let me keep it in the comment. And now I am performing this downcasting. Now I am performing this downcasting, converting parent class, come on please, object type, to child class object type. So this is what about downcasting. So first prepare one parent class object. Okay sir, parent obj equals to new parent. Okay, parent is there. Okay, now you have to convert this parent class object. Okay, why we are getting, okay, parent is not the class, it's an A class, sorry. So A is my class, save it. So okay, now we have to convert this parent class object into the child class type. So child, sorry, B obj2 equals to obj1. Immediately, whether you are observing or not, we are getting the compile time error. If you keep the cursor here, you can understand type mismatch, cannot convert from A to B, cannot convert from A to B. So that means downcasting, like how exactly we performed the upcasting, it is not done like that directly. So you have to take extra step. Why? Because you can't convert from parent class to child class directly. If you really wanted to perform this downcasting, you have to apply the typecast operator here in the right hand side. Because right now obj1 is of which type? Tell me. A type, sir. Obj1 is pointing to A class object, right? Now you are trying to store in where? Obj2. Obj2 is of which reference variable? Class B, that is child class, meaning that you are trying to. So your Java compiler, if you are not using this typecast operator, obj1 is a A type, obj2 is a B type. You cannot convert from parent to child directly. So that is the reason your compiler is expecting typecast operator, and there also compiler is expecting the left hand side type. What is the left hand side type? It should be B. Save it. Immediately compiler will remove that error itself. So right now obj1 is actually A type, but you are converting into the B type and you specified. So the entire right hand side type will become what type? B type. And obj2 is of which type? B type. So both the types are compatible with each other. That is the reason Java compiler is not giving you any compile time error. In this way, you have to perform the downcasting. In this way, we have to perform the downcasting. So sir, downcasting is also possible. People are thinking like that. So immediately, if I'm printing, come on, system.out.println control S. Previously we are getting, right? Okay. Otherwise I'll try to like what obj2 dot display, save it. Okay, obj2 dot display. Okay, when I try to like what run this, immediately when I run this, immediately we are getting the error. What is this error? Tell me. Exception in thread main java.lang.classcast exception. Object casting A cannot be cast to B. So parent cannot be cast to child itself. In this way, of course, it is not giving you, we are escaping the compile time error, but we are not able to, okay, we are not able to escape from the runtime error. Definitely to perform the downcasting, we have to follow some rules at compile time error, at compile time, and as well as what at runtime also. So we are just somehow we are able to escape from the compile time errors, but okay, definitely we are not escaping, we are not able to escape from the runtime error. That is the reason we are getting this class cast exception when you call the display method. Sir, why? What is the reason? So that means this is the time to understand, to perform the downcasting. That means to convert the parent class object to child class object. So we need to follow some rules. Those rules you need to understand. So first rule, second rule, third rule. Okay, three rules we have. Those three rules try to like what understand. If any casting is following those three rules, even though we are able to perform the downcasting successfully and we are able to execute, and we are not getting any class cast exception also. So the main important thing is what you need to understand about those rules itself. So let me open my PowerPoint here, try to understand. See here, so like this we have to perform downcasting, as I said just now. Even though the compiler is not giving any error for this downcasting, but at runtime JVM will give runtime error saying that class cast exception, as we just now seen. So if you observe here, so what are the rules to satisfy to perform the downcasting? What are the rules, sir? Here I am performing, I am just giving you these rules itself. You just observe here. What do you mean by this A, B, C, D? You are just observe. Let me copy this. Here, come back to here. Okay. So you just okay. So you just try to understand. Okay. Here, try to understand. This is an example. Okay. Try to understand. This is an example. That A. So here, what do you mean by A, sir? B class object. So what do you mean by this B? Reference variable of child class. What do you mean by this C? Okay. This is the child class type only. So what do you mean by this D? This D means what? Obj1 means what? This is the parent class object. So just I am comparing with these examples itself. I am comparing with these examples. B means this particular A. Okay, B means this particular A. Obj2 this small b. So just to understand. So just to understand, you just consider like this. Okay. Now, what rules you have to follow? If you observe the first rule, try to understand, sir. If you observe the first rule, the type of D and C, type of D and C must have some relationship, either parent to child or child to parent type, otherwise we'll get compiled time error. Okay, we'll try to talk about this D and then C. Okay, go back to the Eclipse. Obj1, what is this Obj1? Tell me. Obj1 is a which type? Tell me. A type. Okay, so what is this B? B is a child class. So now Obj1 is of A type, B is a B type only. So what is the relation in between A and then B? A is a parent class, B is a child class. First rule satisfied or not, sir? Yes, first rule satisfied. So this D means your parent class. This C means your child class. In between these two, what kind of relation is there? In between D and then C, what kind of relation is there? Parent-child relation. What is the first rule is saying? The rule 1 is saying the type of D and C must have some relationship, either parent to child or child to parent. Okay, since we followed that, rule 1 satisfied, khatam. Okay, so what is the rule 2? Okay, C must be either same. Okay, let me copy this, sir, so that we can easily understand. Okay, come back to here. Okay, here, put it in the comments. So see here, C. So what is the C? You know already. What do you mean by C, sir? Subclass. C must be either same or derived type of A. Okay, C must be either same or derived type of A. What do you mean by A, sir? Your subclass. Okay, so see, here also it is subclass B. Here also it is subclass. In this case, both classes are same, sir. C must be either same or derived type of A. Okay, in our case, the 16th line. So this particular B and this particular B both are same. That is the reason. Okay, that is the reason we are not getting any compile time error. So if you are observing, C must be either same or derived type of A. In our example case, both are same. That is the reason we are not getting any compile time error, sir. Okay, that is the reason we are not getting any compile time error. Okay, I hope you understand. So now, what is the rule 3? It's very important. Let me copy this also, sir. Okay, come back to the Eclipse. Okay, here, very important. You just try to understand. Okay, so just observe the rule 3, sir. Control 3. So here, okay, let me try to like what speak it out immediately. 1 second. Why the errors are coming? Okay, here already it was there. Save it. So now the errors are being. Okay, let me try to like what read this so that you can understand this rule 3. Okay, let me remove this. Let me remove this rule 2. Okay, so now the underlying original object type of D. So sir, D means what, sir? Obj1. Obj1 is of which type, sir? A type. So what it is pointing? Obj1 is pointing to A class object only. The underlying original object type of D. Okay, for example, sir, what does it mean by underlying original object? Object obj equals to new string. Now tell me, obj is not an object of object. Since obj is pointing to the string class object, the underlying original object of obj is what's a string object. In that way, try to understand. Okay, so now the underlying original object type of D must be, come on please, must be either same or derived type of C. Okay, so underlying original object type in our case is what, sir? A class, sir. Okay, so this A class object must be either same or derived type of C. Okay, or derived type of C. Okay, so in both cases, A is it is pointing to A class object. B is what, sir? Subclass. So both are not same. So that is not satisfied. Okay, both are not same. It must be either same or derived type of C. What is the derived type of C? So this must be the underlying original object must be derived type of this particular B class object. But now A is not the derived type of B, sir. Here B is the derived type of A. That is the reason. That is the reason, sir. A is the parent class here, sir. B is the child class. So, but actually rule 3 is saying what? Either this the underlying original object and this typecast operator type must be same, or the underlying object must be a derived type of this particular typecast operator type. What is the typecast operator type here? B type, sir. That is your subclass. But A is what, sir? Parent class. But actually rule 3 is saying what, sir? The underlying original object type must be the derived type of this typecast operator type. But in this case, it is reversed. Okay, the underlying object type is parent class, and this typecast operator type is child class. In the reverse, that is the reason the rule 3 is not satisfied. If rule 3 is not satisfied, we are getting what exceptions are? Java.lang.classcast exception. That is what you need to understand. Am I clear about this? I hope you got the clarity. First, try to understand these rules one by one. First two rules are for escaping from the compile time errors. So the last rule is escaping from the runtime error. If any situation follows this third rule, JVM also will not give you any runtime error. That kind of example also I will show you, no problem. Okay, so just try to understand one more example. But before that, this is all about what? Downcasting itself. Okay, so as of now, with my example, we are able to satisfy only first two rules. So what about this third rule? With practical demonstration, I will show you. Please try to follow it. So if you go to like what, next slide, that is where exactly, see, these are the rules you have to follow to perform this downcasting. In my example, first two rules are got satisfied. Third rule, in a way to follow the third rule, I will try to like what show you one example. You try to understand. See, object obj. Okay, the same thing. I'll take it here. Come back to here. Let me try to like what take a new and then take the class as what test3. Okay, here define the main method. Okay, so object, come on please, object obj equals new string. Okay, that means to be honest, this is also kind of what's upcasting, because we are converting or storing child class object in the parent class reference variable only. So now how can I perform this downcasting? Tell me, how can I perform? String str equals to obj. If you are trying to perform like this, immediately we are getting, sir, why, sir? Because of obj is of parent type. Now we are trying to store in the str of string type. This is a child type. How can you convert directly? So what is the first rule? You have to apply the typecast operator. So since obj is of which type? I mean, in the left hand side string type is there, na? That type you have to mention. So when you mention this, automatically the error is gone. Okay, now try to like what understand the rule 1, rule 2, rule 3. What is the rule 1? So obj, what obj? Object type. So this one is what? String. So either must be okay parent to child or child to parent, otherwise we'll get the compile time error. For every class, object is the super class, na? Okay, for the string also, object is acting as a super class. Rule 1 satisfied. Khatam. So what about rule 2 is saying? What about rule 2 is saying? Come on please. What about rule 2? Come on. So here, if you are observing this rule 2, if I open this rule 2, right hand side type of string and the left hand side type of string, both are same. So rule 2 is satisfied. Okay, so right hand side type string, that means this one, okay, sorry, this one, and then the left hand side type, this one. So typecast operator type and this one must be what? Same. So actually rule 2, it's not must be same, must be either same or derived type of A, or derived type is also possible, that is also fine. But in this example, what I am explaining, this one and this one must be in this case these are same. So that is the reason rule 2 also satisfied. So what rule 3 is saying? Very, very important. So since two rules are satisfied, we are able to escape from the compile time error. So what is the rule 3 is saying? Okay, this obj underlying object type is what? What is the underlying object? String. So this string, okay, underlying object is also string and typecast operator type is also same. So both are same. If both are same, we won't get any runtime error. Otherwise, okay, rule 3 is saying both are same, or that underlying object type must be the derived type of this particular typecast operator. But in our case, both are same. So that is the reason it won't give you any error. So now, if you observe system.out.println str, so we are not getting any runtime error. Of course, if you run this, okay, it is just getting terminated. But I mean, we are not getting any error. Why we are not getting any error? If you really wanted to perform any operations, str dot length, if you are giving length, when you try to like what perform 0, since I am not adding anything into the string, we are not getting any error. There is no class cast exception. So successfully we are able to like what perform the downcasting, since this is following the three rules: first rule, second rule, third rule also. So whenever if any situation In any situation, if it follows these three rules perfectly, we are able to like what escape from the java.lang.class cast exception, and we are able to like what invoke the corresponding methods also as per the requirement. So this is all about what downcasting itself. If I am observing this particular PowerPoint, whatever the example I told you, rule 1, the type of obj object and string have parent-child relationship. So first rule satisfied. Rule 2, rule 3, everything got satisfied. So like this, in any case, if it satisfies all these three conditions, we are able to perform the downcasting. So it doesn't mean downcasting is not possible. Very few cases are there. If any those cases, if those cases are following these three rules, downcasting is also possible. Okay, at object level. Upcasting anyhow it is fine. Okay, but downcasting very few cases. Okay, which satisfies the three rules, then only it is possible. Otherwise, it will give you runtime error saying that class cast exception. So this is all about what casting at object level, mainly upcasting and as well as what downcasting. Thank you. If any doubts or queries you have, you please try to like what give your comments in the comment section, so that I can try to like what give you the clarity if any doubts you have. Thank you.